decide to go outside?
I felt threatened. And
If you feel threatened, just stay in your house.
The attack.
It was Jasmine that just straight sucker punched me in my face. And as I fell on the ground, she was on top of me.
Then a mother's revenge.
If somebody did that to my daughter, I might be angry enough to take a sledgehammer to their car.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Jasmine Huntsman is suing Delashawn Green and her daughter, 21-year-old fiance Brown, for vandalizing her front door and her car.
Order. All rise. This is case number 156 on the calendar, the matter of Huntsman versus Green Brown.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Your last name is?
Green.
And this is your daughter?
Yes.
Miss Huntsman, according to what I read, the only way you know the defendant, Miss Brown, that would be you, right, is through a cousin of yours?
no, she's my little brother's girlfriend.
Your brother's is or was your brother's girlfriend?
I haven't talked to my brother in months since.
Here and there. We're not together. We're like friends.
You keep in touch?
Yes.
And on the night of, or the day of April 10th, it is your claim that Miss Green and her daughter came to your house uninvited. You had no idea why. Both of them vandalized your car. Both of them took turns trying to pickaxe your screen door, caused damage to 6 windows, caused you to lose work because you're an Uber driver, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the relief that you are requesting is about $5,000.
Yes.
Miss Green and Miss Brown present a totally different picture. They say on the 10th of August, Miss Brown was in your house where you live, where your brother is, and they were having an argument.
Yes.
She's never been inside my house.
Shh. She was in your house where you live with your brother, or your brother was there, and they were having an argument. And Miss Green says, because she signed the answer, that you came in the midst of that argument on April 10th and sucker punched her daughter to the extent that she had serious injury and did in fact take her. And they're counterclaiming. They're counterclaiming for that assault and the fact that you filed a protective order against them, but you never showed up for it. They went and you never showed up. And they are counterclaiming for the same, about $5,000. So it's going to be up to me to make a judgment as to these two stories. They're totally inconsistent. You do understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I have witnesses. I never touched her.
Listen to me. Don't say anything just yet, right? Now, Miss Huntsman, just so that I understand, you've never met Miss Green.
Yeah, I never met her mother.
You never met her mother. And you only know Miss Brown because she was dating your little brother.
Yes.
And you met her how many times?
Once.
And in the one time that you met her, you had absolutely no falling out with her. There was no discussions. There were no arguments.
No, I met her briefly at a camping trip, told her she had a pretty name.
So neither one of these two people had any grudge against you?
No.
You didn't have any grudge against her prior to April 10th?
No, I don't even know her.
Right. So I'm going to ask a few questions. Miss Green, have you been psychiatrically hospitalized in any way in the last 6 months?
No.
What about you, Miss Brown?
No.
Did either one of you take any psychotropic medication?
No.
On some bender on April 10th?
No.
And you say you never went back to her house. Now, this is what I want you to be careful with. What your answer says is that Miss Huntsman on April 10th got in the middle of an argument with your daughter and her boyfriend. And Miss Huntsman sucker punched your daughter and she was injured. You have photographs. I'm sure you have hospital records of that injury.
Yes.
Okay? I have to tell you that I'm not a vigilante. You know, I believe in law and order and stuff. But if somebody did that to my daughter, I would be very, very angry. I might be angry enough to go to their house and to take a sledgehammer to their car. I might be angry enough, just listen to what I'm saying. I might be angry enough to break in a window. I might be angry enough to destroy a screen door. Do you understand? I might be angry enough because somebody hurt my child to do all of those things. That's a pretty serious motive, right? I just want you to think about that before you say to me, I wasn't there. Do you understand? It's all about the story, what makes sense and what doesn't. Now, Ms. Huntsman, I'm going to ask you the same question. Ever been psychotropic drugs?
No.
Can you think of any reason why on April 10th the defendants would come to your house and attack your car? You were the target. Attack your car and try to attack you, actually, through a screen window. Can you think of any reason? Now, we already know they're not crazy, and we already know you're not crazy.
I think she was upset that my brother broke up with her and that she got beat up by my little cousin. And she wanted to destroy something.
Oh, no, just a second. Oh, that's interesting. No, that's interesting. So your little brother broke up with her. That was on April 10th. They were arguing. Were they really loud? Did it get physical or just yelling?
What I saw them yell. I was asleep, and my cousin said, there's some girls here, so...
No. Just slowly. I saw
her getting beat up, and...
You saw who getting beat up?
Her fiance.
You saw Miss Brown getting beat up in your house?
No, they were in the alleyway, not on the grass or the driveway or nothing.
At your house?
Yeah. Not inside, though.
At your house?
Yeah.
And you saw Miss Brown getting beat up, racing. And where were you?
I was sleeping, then I ran outside and I tried to break them up.
Okay, so you were sleeping, and you were sleeping with your son.
Mm-hmm.
It was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And you were awakened by what?
By Malia.
How were you awakened by Malia?
She came and knocked on the door and she said, "It's some girls here to fight me."
So then what happened next?
And then I put on my knee braces. I was recently in a wheelchair, so I had to put my knee braces on. By the time I got outside, they were already fighting, and I tried to break them up.
You tried to break them up?
Yes.
That's not true.
Shh. And then what happened?
And then when the fight broke up, fiance, she just got in a car and she told my brother that she was gonna have some dudes beat him up, and then her and her friend left, and then we went in the house and my brother left.
Well, you left out the part in your complaint of you trying to break them up.
Well, I tried.
How were you trying to break them up?
Well, I have on knee braces, so I couldn't do much. It was mostly just, can y'all stop? But it wasn't much I could do. And her friend was there.
Well, you could do a lot, because one of the things that you were telling me that you were able to do, because one of the things you're suing for, Ms. Huntsman, is your loss of wages, because at the time I was driving for Uber and driving for them. So even with the terrible braces you had on your legs and all of that trauma, you were still able to drive for Uber.
I wasn't driving for it. My job was to drive for Uber before I was in a wheelchair. I was on disability. I was just able to walk about a month ago and went to sign up for Uber. Again, you got to get your car checked once a year. My car got too many dents in it.
All I say I was driving for Uber.
Yeah, that was my job.
And my car was damaged. Okay, so now you're outside and you are just trying gently to separate them. Okay, because first of all, this is your cousin?
Mm-hmm.
She comes in, wakes you up, and says there are some girls here that want to fight me, right? So instead of doing what a normal person would do, which is to go to the phone and call 911 and say to the police, there are some girls here looking to fight me, she runs outside to fight with them. That's what you're telling me. Is that correct? Yes, of course. And then, instead of you, because you have a baby with you, and leg braces, right? Instead of you calling the police and saying there is fighting outside in my alleyway, you went outside to break up the fight. What'd you do with the baby?
My son was in the doorway with his big cousin.
What big cousin?
Her boyfriend was there too. His name's Wilson. And
Her boyfriend was there to break up the fight?
He tried. We all tried to break them up.
Not true.
Just
Not true at all.
okay, listen to me. I'm going to get the story. Do you understand? Either I'm going to get the story or I'm going to make one up that neither one of you likes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You go in and say to Ms. Huntsman, I think these girls are there to fight me.
Yes.
And then you decide to go outside.
Yes.
Why?
I felt threatened, and
If you feel threatened, just stay in your house.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Jasmine Huntsman says Delashon Green and her daughter, fiancé Brown, vandalized her front door and her car. The defendants are countersuing for vandalism, a false restraining order, and an assault.
Okay, you want to tell me what happened?
So on April 10th, 2017, me and my boyfriend at the time, we got into an argument. And
Where were you when you got into
in front of I guess her aunt's house where she was staying at the time.
In front of the house where she was staying?
Yes. He had my phone and wouldn't give it back to me because of our own relationship problems we were arguing about. And I guess I was being loud, and Jasmine and her cousin came out. Why are you in front of my house being rude and disrespectful? You need to leave. I'm like, you know, I'm just trying to get my phone, and what me and him are arguing about has nothing to do with you. So as I'm going to my trunk of my car, me and my boyfriend at the time are still going at it. He's getting his backpack out my trunk. I feel a body come to the side of my face, my left side of my face, and it was Jasmine that just straight sucker punched me in my face. I was trying to swing back, and as I fell on the ground, she's on top of me, along with her cousin Malia, swinging, calling me, just saying, get that, calling me. And my boyfriend at the time didn't even stop the fight at all.
Oh, he's some
I guess
boyfriend.
He was mad, I don't know.
That's why he's not around now.
They're still talking.
After that, a few days later, he calls about the situation that happened between me and his sister, and we also had made a police report, which the information...
Okay. Carefully. Stand up. April 10th. Where were you?
I was in my house.
Is that where she stays?
Yes.
Okay, what were you doing there?
Well, I was in my room, then I hear commotion outside with my cousin and fiance. So I went outside, and they were arguing, and I tried to tell fiance that she just needs to leave the house. So she left, came like they were finna jump me. They started approaching my front door, and that's when I was in the house saying, Jasmine, some girls are here to fight me.
Okay, so what you're telling me is she left.
Yes.
And she comes back with a friend.
Yes.
A female friend or a male friend?
A female friend.
Doesn't say anything to you, but you go in and say to Miss Huntsman, I think these girls are there to fight me.
Yes.
And you're in the house.
Yes.
And then you decide to go outside.
Yes.
Why?
I felt threatened, and...
If you feel threatened, just stay in your house.
Well, I probably should have called the police, but I went outside.
No, if you feel threatened, even if you don't call the police, you stay in your house. Lock the door, you stay in your house. What'd you go outside for?
I just went outside.
Well, did you think that that was bad judgment?
Well, I wanted to see what she came back to my house for.
Well, you already told her what she came back to your house for. She came back to your house to fight you, according to you. That's what you said to her. I think these girls are here to fight me.
Right.
And I don't understand why you would go outside.
Your Honor, I never left.
Just a second.
I never left out.
Just a second.
Stop lying.
Just a second.
You stop lying.
May I see photographs of her injury, please? May I see the hospital report and the police report?
And Your Honor, the police report is not even...
Try to explain a piece of evidence that I'm not even looking at. The police department spoke to you, Miss Huntsman.
Yes.
And they spoke to you the day of the incident when you both reported these incidents to the police. Your damage to your car and the defendant, Miss Brown, the assault. Do you remember speaking to the police officer?
Yes.
Let me read to you what the police officer says you said to the police officer. Huntsman told me she was away from the area at a friend's house and had no idea anything was going on between her brother and Miss Brown.
So as soon as they did all that damage to my car, I took my son to my friend's house. So the officer, when he first got there, he only spoke with her. And then they called me and told me.
I know that the only person that they talked to was her. Then later they came and spoke to you.
Yeah, so maybe he assumed that...
I don't care what he assumed. That's what he wrote.
Okay.
So at no time did you tell the police that it was Miss Brown that damaged your car?
Yes, I did.
I want you to show me that in the police report. You have it. Because the only way that she was identified was the police.
Yeah.
and showed you a photo ID. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'm not saying they didn't do it. I'm going to figure out the story. Show me in the police report where it says you said that these two people damaged your car.
It's not in the police report.
It's not in the police report. Right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Most people who are normal people want the person who hurt them to be punished. Not the wrong person, the right person. So she could just as easily have sued you. She didn't. She said that she sucker punched her.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Jasmine Huntsman claims DeLaShawn Green and her daughter, fiancé Brown, owe for vandalizing her home and car.
The police report is clear. It said she identified the person from a photo array.
She told the officer who it was, and he said, if I bring back a lineup, can you pick her out? And she said, yes, because we only met them at a camping trip once.
I'm asking
I went
you,
on the camping trip.
You can't
where in here, listen to me, I'm asking you where in here, because it looks to me as if you left the house.
As soon as it happened, I took my son away. I did.
As soon as the assault was over, or as soon as the vandalizing was over?
As soon as the vandalism was done.
over. Okay, but you didn't take your son.
And me and my son went back to sleep.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you
That's a lie.
at all. I don't believe you at all. And I absolutely believe that you vandalized their car. Absolutely, positively.
I never touched her daughter.
Then you keep very, very poor company, because if somebody came to a house looking for a fight and came in and said to me with my baby son there, some people came to fight me, which is what you want me to believe, and she ran outside, and you leave your baby in the house and go outside and put your braces on and go outside, and there are guys in the house, her boyfriend, your boyfriend, there are a whole bunch of people there. So you don't have to get involved, but you're getting in between a fight. And it would be very easy for Miss Brown to say that she punched her. Very easy. Did you ever make an accusation? What's your last name?
Gully.
Miss Gully assaulted you?
They both did.
The police report.
Just a second. You made an accusation that they both did.
Yes.
Were you ever arrested?
No.
Okay.
She
Fine.
told the police
well,
only
there's no
Malia
question.
hit her.
There's no question that you were assaulted. I think you were having a fight with your boyfriend, and I think that they got in your face.
Yes.
That's what I think happened. And
Your
you got
Honor,
hurt.
Only I got in her.
And most people who are normal people want the person who hurt them to be punished. Not the wrong person, the right person. So she could just as easily, she was arguing, but she said she sucker punched her.
Your Honor, that's not
wasn't
true.
near
She
her.
jumped in it.
You weren't there.
Gully
I was nowhere near her daughter.
And you weren't there.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Are you the victim of an assault? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, there's no question that between the two of you, she was injured.
Yeah, we
Neither
got
one
into
of
a
you were
physical
injured.
fight.
Neither one of you were injured.
Malia jumped in and was calling me.
I never hit you.
Your Honor,
Stop lying.
I didn't
You know
jump
I
in
never
because
touched you.
Jasmine
Cursing.
is handicapped.
I even
so
stopped in the fight
You
at
know
all.
I never hit you.
Yes.
Even
Yes.
my
Just a second.
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done. I absolutely believe that your car was vandalized, and I absolutely believe that they vandalized your car. And based upon the damage to the car, it's at least $5,000 worth of damage to your car. I absolutely believe you were assaulted. I absolutely believe that she was partially responsible for the assault, and you were injured, and the medical reports suggest that you had a swollen eye and a broken cartilage in your nose, for which I'm awarding you $5,000, which means that neither one of you get anything. Goodbye. We're done.
Why's that excuse me? Step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It just happened out the blue.
She just stays far, far away.
It was very unexpected because, I mean, I couldn't even fight back.
She seems to be very violent and kind of expected it.
I would hope she wouldn't try to start anything back home.
I'm just glad this is over.
It happened so fast, Your Honor.
That's why we're here.
A battle with her sister's ex sharply escalates.
We got into an altercation. She pulled out a knife out her bosom.
Who did?
Miss Hesman.
What were you doing with a knife?
But did this fighting sibling flip the script?
So your sister told the police that you stabbed the plaintiff. You do know that. She was having surgery because she had been cut in the neck.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Keisha Hedgeman is suing her ex-girlfriend's sister, Neshte Denson, for damages resulting from an assault.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 220 on the calendar and case number 221 in the matter of Hedgeman versus Denson and Denson versus Hedgeman.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in.
Defendant is your ex-girlfriend's sister.
Yes.
And you're twins, is that right?
Correct.
Is your claim that 2 years ago, you and the defendant's sister were in a relationship? That relationship terminated, but at about the time that the relationship terminated, the defendant assaulted you. And you want to be compensated for that assault, which, according to you, ended up in your being hospitalized for a substantial period of time. And at the time you were pregnant, and it put your child at risk.
Yes.
So I'd like you to tell me on what date this took place.
May 16th, 2015,
Where?
at the defendant's house.
Were you living in her house or were you visiting?
I was living there
With her sister?
with her sister.
The two sisters and you. So the
Yes.
three of you were living in the house?
Yes.
How long had you been living in the house?
I'll say from January to April, and then I left and went to Dallas, and then I came back about a month later. And
You left on vacation or you left
I left
permanently?
to move. I moved to Dallas trying to make a way for myself and just move out.
So at that point, the relationship broke up?
We were still talking. We were still together.
Well, you can't be together if you're in one state and your
Correct.
partner is in another.
We were still talking, you know, texting, communicating. She would
Well,
come
you were
and visit
communicating, but you had left. When you left the residence,
me. April.
April.
Yes, I
What
went
state?
to Dallas.
Where did you go in Dallas?
I stayed at a hotel
For how long?
about 2 weeks
When you came back to Arkansas, where did you go?
with the defendant's sister.
So you renewed your relationship?
Yes,
And that was in...
that's about the beginning of May,
How long had you and the defendant's sister been in a relationship?
since 2013.
So for a while.
Yes,
And was this pregnancy, because you were pregnant at the time of this assault, that's what I read in the paper. And was this pregnancy something that the two of you planned?
we talked about it. We didn't talk about with who, but we did talk about it before I was...
Had you discussed that this was what you were going to do, or was this an unplanned thing? Is
It
my
was
question.
unplanned.
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 Is that one of the things that you fought about?
Yes.
Okay. When you came back in May, tell me what happened on May 16th.
May 15th, the night, about a couple hours before the 16th started, I was at my ex-girlfriend's job at the time until she got off because there was already animosity in the house. And the sister called the police on me.
There was animosity in the house in what regard?
Her sister didn't like me.
So you and the defendant weren't getting along.
Correct.
I'm going to come to you. Listen to me. Tell me why you weren't getting along with her. If you weren't, when she came back from... she never slept in your house?
No.
Ever?
Never.
Well, where did she stay with your sister?
My sister had came, you know, they'll visit, like come for a couple of hours, then leave. There was one time on occasion, one time, and she's standing up here lying.
Just a second. Where did your sister live?
She had her own apartment.
So is what you're telling me that the plaintiff and your sister lived together?
Yeah, in another apartment.
And they always lived in another apartment before May?
Yes.
What happened in May?
I was laying on the couch. My sister, Nashandra Denson, and Miss Hedgeman came in.
They came for a visit, or did they have any property there?
She had a key that my mom gave her. Nashandra did.
But they had not been living there for,
No,
for
ma'am.
2 weeks before?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so they came to visit. And?
And I asked my sister for the house key because Miss Hedgeman claimed that I had called the police on her earlier that day, and I didn't have no control of that. I wasn't the one that had called the police. It was my sister. Other friend had called the police.
Why were the police called?
I have no idea, Your Honor.
Okay, so now on May 15th, you're sitting on the couch, and?
Nashandra Denson and Miss Hedgeman came in.
So the two of them came in?
Yes.
The plaintiff and your sister?
Yes.
Which one is the former girlfriend? That would be you. Okay, go ahead.
Came in and I asked for my house key. And my sister, I called my mom and, asked her, can my sister give me the house key? And Miss Hedgeman said she's not going to give you nothing. And we got into an altercation, and she said, I got something to hold you. And she pulled out a knife out her bosom.
Who did?
Miss Hedgeman, Kaisha
That's a
Hedgeman.
lie, Your Honor.
Shh, 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 shh.
Yes,
Shh. Whose house is this?
it's my house,
Is it a leased house or an owned house?
lease,
And the lease is in whose name?
my name.
How long have you lived there?
2 years.
When did you move in?
I have been there 2 years.
Are you still there?
Yes.
Well, it's got to be more than 2 years because this incident happened.
Well, it was more than 2 years, about 3.
How long had you been living there on the day of the incident?
About 3 years.
No, then you would have been living there 5 years altogether.
No.
On May 16th, 2015, how long had you been living in that house? And with whom?
My sister.
Which sister?
Malia Denson.
That would be you.
Me.
You.
And May Denson.
So just the two of you were living there together? Is that what I'm listening to?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you had been living there with one other sister, and your mother gave this sister a key to the house.
Yes.
And this sister didn't live there.
No.
She lived someplace else with her girlfriend.
Yes.
Okay. Call your mother and say, tell sister to give me back my key. I want you to go step by step what happened next.
And then Taisha Hedgeman said, I'm not going to give you nothing. And
well, she didn't have the key.
No, she's not going to give you nothing. She put it in our conversation that had nothing to do with her.
Okay, so you were talking to your sister.
Yes, ma'am.
And the plaintiff said, I'm not going to give you nothing.
Yeah, she's not going to give you nothing. And, you know, I'm...
Now, slowly. Let's get it very slowly, because I'm going to get it from her perspective, too.
Okay.
So I'm not going to give you nothing. And then what happened?
And then we got into an altercation. And she
now,
said,
when you get into an altercation is a fight. That's what an altercation is. It can be either a verbal altercation,
verbal altercation.
Verbal altercation, calling
altercation.
each other names,
yes.
Or it can be a physical altercation. This was which one? Was it a verbal altercation or is it a physical altercation?
Started as a verbal.
Started as a verbal?
Yes, ma'am.
It went from verbal to physical. How did that happen?
Miss Hedgeman pulled out a knife outside from her bosom.
What kind of knife?
It was look like one you can...
Open up?
Yes, ma'am.
How big? I want you to point with your fan.
Like that.
Okay. Well, you keep moving your fan. Let's do it again. So it was a relatively big knife when it was opened?
Yes.
And that's the size when it was opened?
Yes, ma'am.
So she pulled it out and?
And she said, I'm not going to fight you. I got something to hold your big A. And then she hit me in my face and we got the...
So the next thing that happened was she hit you in the face?
Yes.
And then what happened next?
Then she hit me in my face. And then she kept trying to charge at me with the knife and the...
Well, what did you do to her when she hit you in the face?
That's when we got the fighting and she...
Okay, but you left that out. Let's not leave it out.
Okay.
Let's not leave it out. She hit you in the face, and then you got to fighting.
Yes, ma'am.
So you hit her?
I didn't get a chance to hit her.
Well, what does this mean? Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, somebody hits you in the face. I cannot imagine.
Because she had, at the time, she still had the knife in her hands trying to charge at me. And the reason my hand got cut...
I want you to tell me how, you mean she held the knife in her hand, right or left, and with the other hand hit you in the face? If she has a knife in her hand, what hand did she have the knife in?
She had the hand in her right hand.
Okay. And are you right-handed?
Yes.
Okay, so she's right-handed. She has a knife in one hand.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want you to tell me...
It happened so fast, Your Honor.
That's why we're here.
Yes.
She has the knife in her right hand. She pulled it out of her breast.
Yes.
How did she punch you?
With her left hand.
Where did she punch you with her left hand? On your face?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what did you do?
Then...
What did you...
And I was fearful for my life because she is known as stabbing people.
Go ahead. Tell me what happened next.
Then after we got the fighting, I seen Miss Hedgeman cutting herself, and I had...
Let's go slowly and don't lose your words. So now you start to physically fight, but so far you haven't told me that you touched her at all.
No, I didn't get... No, I didn't.
Right. So she's fighting with you.
Yes.
And you're just backing up.
Because I'm not a fighter.
And then what happened?
Then after that, I looked over and seen Miss Hedgeman cut herself.
Where did she cut herself?
Her neck.
Oh, so she took the knife and she stabbed herself in the neck?
Yes.
With the knife?
Yes.
Interesting.
No, she was like this. She was doing like this.
Oh, she was going like this, cutting across her neck?
Yes, ma'am.
And how many times did she cut across her neck?
I have no idea.
More than once?
Probably. I seen her like one. I guess she got a scar around her neck right there.
Kaisha started cutting herself, and I called the police.
I called the police because when she was charging at me, I was moving my hand. That's how I ended up getting cut on my pinky. and I couldn't feel my finger. So I called the police and told them it was an altercation in Stagecoach, and they told me to go to Baptist Hospital. When I got to Baptist Hospital, then the officer arrived, and I gave my...
May I see your hospital record? So you had a cut on your pinky.
Yes, ma'am.
You had a cut on your pinky and went to the hospital. What happened with the plaintiff? You said she sliced herself across the neck.
Well,
what happened with her?
I have no idea when, because I went to the hospital.
You mean you left her in the house bleeding?
No, she wasn't. It didn't happen inside the house.
Where did it happen?
It happened outside.
Oh, well, you didn't tell me. Now you were outside. How did you get out? Just a second.
We walked.
No. You were inside. Your sister wouldn't give you the key, called your mother from inside, said, give him the key, didn't give him the key. Then you said she took out a knife from her breast.
When she took
I want to know where that happened.
It happened outside.
Outside. Now I want to know how they got outside.
Yes. When I called my mom, I had walked outside, and they followed me outside.
So this happened in the front lawn?
Yeah, on the sidewalk.
Now, she pulls the knife out on the sidewalk.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're fighting, and your pinky got cut.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I want to know where she was when you went to the hospital.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your girlfriend was in pretty bad shape.
Yeah, they
Band-Aid off her pinky.
No, Your Honor, they arrested her at the hospital.
Eventually, she took the Band-Aid off her pinky.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Keisha Hedgeman says her ex-girlfriend's sister, Neshte Denson, stabbed her in the neck during an argument.
Now, she pulls the knife out on the sidewalk.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're fighting, and your pinky got cut.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I want to know where she was when you went to the hospital.
She was, when I went to the hospital, she was still there. From the witness, she was still there. At Stagecoach.
Outside?
Yes, ma'am.
She's standing up or lying down?
Standing up.
Standing up on what?
On the sidewalk.
Who was with her?
Neshte Denson.
Your sister?
Yes, ma'am.
And your sister, stand up. You took your girlfriend to the hospital?
The ambulance took her to the hospital.
Okay. Who called the ambulance?
I called the ambulance.
You did? And you called the ambulance from outside?
Yes, ma'am.
Was the plaintiff bleeding?
Yes, she was bleeding.
That's why you called an ambulance. From how many wounds?
The main one was the neck.
Where was the other one?
They say it was like right here, a minor cut right here.
And when you left to go by ambulance, was your sister already gone?
My sister was already gone. I was waiting there.
Just a second. Your sister was gone. How did she get to the hospital?
A friend that was there at the apartment.
Who was the friend who was there at the apartment?
Her name is Jennifer.
So Jennifer was outside during the fight?
Correct.
And Jennifer took your sister to the hospital?
Correct.
And you were treated in an emergency room?
Yes, ma'am.
For the cut on your pinky?
Yes, ma'am.
What was done to the cut on your pinky?
They got blood, and then they bandaged it up.
So they put a Band-Aid on it?
Yes.
On your pinky?
Yes.
No surgery?
No.
No sutures?
No.
They put a Band-Aid on your pinky?
Yes.
When you got your girlfriend to the hospital, did they take her into the emergency room?
They left me there and took her on to the emergency room.
They left you in the waiting room?
No, they left me at the apartment where it had happened at. The police did.
Oh. So you didn't go with your sister? Mm-mm is not an answer.
Ma'am.
No is an answer. Why didn't you go with your sister?
The police wouldn't let me go.
You wanted to go?
Yes.
You were concerned about your girlfriend?
Yes, I was.
Did they tell you what hospital did they take her to?
Baptist Health Medical Center.
Did you go there?
Yes, I did.
That night?
Yes, I did.
See, it's like so easy.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So your sister told the police that you had stabbed the plaintiff. You do know that?
And they said she also changed her story.
She, your sister?
Yes.
Of course she changed her story after they had a fight.
No.
Ridiculous.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Keisha Hedgeman has accused her ex-girlfriend's sister, Neshte Denson, of stabbing her in the neck during an argument.
So you didn't go with your sister? Mm-mm is not an answer.
No, ma'am.
No is an answer. Why didn't you go with your sister?
The police wouldn't let me go.
You wanted to go?
Yes.
You were concerned about your girlfriend?
Yes, I was.
Did they tell you what hospital they were taking her to?
Yes, they did.
What hospital did they take her to?
Baptist Health Medical Center.
Did you go there?
Yes, I did.
That night?
Yes, I did.
You went to the hospital to see your girlfriend?
Yes.
Not to see your sister's pinky?
Exactly.
Right, perfect. And when you got to Baptist Hospital, you found out that your girlfriend was...
Surgery. I didn't know what kind of surgery.
So she was having surgery?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
She was having surgery because she had been cut in the neck.
Yes, ma'am.
Twice, at least.
Well,
once here and once here is 2 times.
Okay, well, yeah.
Right, at least 2 times. And she was going in for surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And she remained in the hospital for how long?
I believe it was 30 days.
So she was in the hospital for a month.
Mm-hmm.
I assume your sister took the Band-Aid off her pinky.
No, Your Honor. They arrested her at the hospital.
Eventually, she took the Band-Aid off her pinky.
I guess so.
Did you speak to the police?
At the apartment, I did.
At the apartment when?
When it occurred, when it happened.
You mean when your girlfriend got stabbed?
Yes.
Do you have the police report?
I do not.
Who does?
I do.
I'd like to see it. Why don't you have the police report?
I didn't get it. I was in the hospital for a month, so I didn't...
Well, this happened 2 years ago. You're coming to court now. Now you're suing her for assault. Now you should have a police report.
I didn't feel like... I had to go all the way out there to get it to Arkansas. I stay in Los Angeles.
Well, I'm not going to Arkansas to get the police report. That's your job. Right. You're a litigant. All I want is your write-up. Had stabbed the plaintiff. You do know that?
No, ma'am.
It's in the police report. Want me to read it to you?
And they said she also changed her story.
She, your sister?
Yes.
Of course she changed her story after they had a fight.
I don't know. No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Are you the victim of an assault? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Police officers responded to a location. She spoke with Miss Nisharanda Denson. That would be you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Who said that her girlfriend, Miss Hedgeman, was just stabbed by her sister in the neck and chest. That's what she told the police as soon as they arrived. Police officer said, I did observe the stab wounds as she stated. Miss Hedgeman was transported to Baptist Hospital. A broadcast was made of the suspect, and after talking to Miss Denson again, she changed her story and stated that she did not see who stabbed Miss Denson and stated she was in her vehicle, and all she saw was Miss Hedgeman fall to the ground. She said she did not want to give any statements due to the fact that she did not see anything. Ridiculous. Okay, now I'm going to come back to you. Got the picture. Now, there's no the knife. Go ahead.
A knife wasn't in my bra. That was a lie, first of all.
What were you doing with a knife?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Her homeless co-worker came begging.
Did you agree to rent a room to him?
Yes, I did. She never said anything about rent. She heard that I was living in my car.
You had a job. You were working.
Then came regret.
So he moved in with his fiancée?
She came and went.
You had 2 dogs.
Yes, Your Honor.
And enough was enough.
She needed money to pay her bankruptcy, and she started crying about money. I was forced out by the police.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Layla Smith is suing her former co-worker, Jordan Parker, for unpaid...
Order. All rise.
This is case number 219 on the calendar, the matter of Smith versus Parker.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Judge Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Smith, I gather from your papers that you and the defendant worked together as security guards for a short period of time.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the defendant said he had lost his place to live, and could you rent a room to him or something for a short period of time? When was that?
That was on May 31st, 2017.
What kind of premises do you live in?
I own my own house. It's a ranch-style house.
Who else lives with you?
Just myself, ma'am.
Did you agree to rent a room to him?
Yes, I did.
For how much?
$475 a month.
When did he move in?
He moved in on May 31st and June 1st.
Did he pay you any rent?
He paid me half of June's rent.
So far, is that correct?
No, ma'am.
When did you move in?
Well, May 30th, she never said anything about rent. She heard that I was living in my car from a coworker. Me and my dad were not on good terms, so that's why I left this house, was living in my car. And she heard this from a coworker, so...
Well, you can't tell me what she heard. All you can tell me is what you discussed with her. You can't tell me what she heard. So on May 30th, go ahead.
So she had explained to me that she had 2 open rooms. She just had her 2 roommates leave, and that I could stay with her until I got on my feet.
Well, Mr. Parker, if you have rooms, why would you think that she would just let you move into her house, use electricity, use water, use whatever? You had a job without paying rent. You were working. Why do you think that I would believe that she would say to you, you met at work, so you were both working, and you were perfectly fine. You lost your place to live. You needed a place to live. She said, I just lost my roommate. And you said, fine. You're telling me that she didn't say that the rent was $475 a month?
She said not to worry about it.
I don't believe it. And you want me to believe that you didn't give her any money. So is that what you're telling me? That you didn't give her any money when you moved in?
I did not. I only gave her money, Your Honor, whenever she had asked for...
All I'm asking you is, you didn't give her any money when you moved in. She says you gave her half a month's rent. I want to know, in deciding this case, did you or did you not give her half a month's rent?
I did not give her any money.
Okay. Gave her zero money. Right. Did you live there the month of June?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Then you owe her $475 for the month of June. Did you live there the month of July?
Yes, I did.
And you gave her no money?
I gave her money twice, Your Honor, whenever she had explained that she was bankrupt and that she needed money to pay her bankruptcy, and she started crying about money.
How much money did you give her?
I gave her over $500, Your Honor.
When? 28. You gave her how much?
$250.
And then?
And then in July, I gave her $275.
Did he give you $250?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he give you $275?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. $525 so far. Did you give her any other money? No. Did you live there in August?
In the very beginning, Your Honor.
In the very beginning, what constitutes the very beginning to you?
Till about the 10th or 12th.
Then you lived there in August. So you owed her another $475. That's $475 times 3 equals $1,425 minus the $525 that you gave her equals $900. And then you left, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, in addition to the $900 that he owes you for rent, tell me what property he damaged.
There was a butler table that was damaged. The leaf had been sheared completely off.
Where was it?
In his room. I was letting him use some of my furniture because he had nothing with him. And the butler table was damaged. His fiancée, ma'am.
So he moved in with his fiancée?
She came and went. She still lived at home with her parents.
Okay, she was a visitor.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see a picture of the table?
Yes, ma'am.
Look at me. What happened to the table?
Her cat Zoe's the only, she ran in there and it broke.
Her cat broke the table?
Yeah.
You had 2 dogs.
Yes, Your Honor.
I've had both cats and dogs. I don't remember my cats, and I've had a lot of cats. I don't remember my cats doing that kind of damage.
The table was very old, Your Honor.
I still don't remember my cats doing that kind of damage. Okay. What else?
His dogs had used the bed that they were sleeping on is a bathroom. It destroyed the mattress completely. I can no longer use that mattress. I have pictures of that.
I see it.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of dogs did you bring in?
Labrador.
You didn't come with the Labrador.
No, Your Honor.
You brought it in to the house.
Yes, it was hers.
Later.
It was hers. And Layla agreed that...
And
Layla
hers,
agreed...
but wasn't living there. She was living home, and she would come and go. What else?
One of the dogs came in with worms. It was unvetted, so I have to get my carpet cleaned.
You mean the dog used the carpet as a as potty?
Yeah.
You have a bill for that?
Your Honor, her carpets were already destroyed due to her 6 cats. She was only allotted 3 animals in the city of St. Charles.
So what did you bring 2 more dogs in for? What legal limit? And you're using that as an excuse. What did you bring 2 more dogs in for?
If I'm a separate resident in St. Charles County, I'm a separate resident. We both live at that address.
You told me a minute ago you weren't a resident. You told me a second ago you weren't a resident.
I told you that she said I could stay there.
That doesn't make you a resident. That makes it until you get on your feet. You weren't a tenant. That's what you told me a moment ago. Okay, so far you owe $900 for rent, $250 for a mattress. 0, 5, 11. Do you have a bill for the carpet cleaning?
No, ma'am.
Then you don't get anything for the carpet cleaning. $11.50. Did you just hear what I said? I said you owe $900 for rent and $250 for a mattress that your dog made all over.
I don't owe her any rent because she said that...
Listen to me. I don't care what you say. I've just ruled. She had a perfectly fine house before you moved in there with your girlfriend and 2 dogs that you had no control of.
May I ask you a question?
No, I don't answer your questions. What property do you claim that she has of yours? You said she has uniforms of yours.
She has 2 full-set uniforms, Your Honor.
Do you have his uniforms?
No, ma'am. He packed them up and took them out with him. And I have a witness to that.
He says that he had 2 uniforms.
They were left there when I was forced out by the police.
He took them.
You don't have them?
No, ma'am. And I have pictures of his closet being empty.
Well, that is very, very easy. But you don't have the uniforms.
No, ma'am.
Do you have bills for... Well, wait a second. You were going today to the beach?
Your Honor, I have pictures of what they cost.
Listen to me. That's not what I asked you, sir. You need the uniforms according to your answer because you use them for work.
I use them for military, Your Honor.
Right. And if you use them for military, which you get paid for, correct?
I only get paid $250 a month.
I don't care what you get paid. You get paid for them, which means that you have to buy the uniforms, right? And if you say that she kept your uniforms, what I want to see is not the bills for the uniforms. I want to see the receipt for your replacing the uniforms because you had to have replacement uniforms. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. Glad you understand. $1,150 judgment for the plaintiff. Counterclaim's dismissed. We're done.
Your Honor, I have a countersuit.
I just dismissed it. The only thing I was hearing is about your uniform, sir. I asked you for one piece of evidence for the uniforms. You know what that was? A receipt for the replacement of your uniforms. You said I didn't bring it with me today.
And I tried to...
I said to you, where did you think you were coming, to the beach? Lady let you come into her house and you abused it. We're done here.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, I'm happy she rolled in my favor, and I learned a lesson. Always double-check who you let move in with you.
It turned into such a bad situation because she, you know, I was living...
with this girlfriend constantly. The neighborhood association got on me.
They were only verbal.
Not paying rent. It was just a mess all the way around.
But that makes no sense because she said not to worry about rent.
Have everything in writing, because if it ain't in writing, it didn't happen.
You know, you can't trust anybody in this world.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Benjamin versus Sheely. Step forward.
Reginald Benjamin is suing his former tenant, Jennifer Sheely, for unpaid rent and stolen property.
Mr. Benjamin, the defendant was your tenant.
That's correct.
And it is your claim that she didn't pay rent during the time she was there. She owes you for rent. And that she also took appliances when she left the premises that you had purchased.
That's correct.
Miss Sheely has a whole bunch of excuses, so I'm just going to start getting some facts from her. When did you move into Mr. Benjamin's house?
Well,
month and year.
Month and year. July 2016.
Prior to moving into Mr. Benjamin's house, where did you live?
It's another house that I had moved into, and it had flooded.
Just a second.
Okay.
You lived in another house?
Yes.
In what city?
Jacksonville, Florida.
How long did you live in that house?
4 years.
Who did you live there with?
My kids.
How many?
I have 4 children.
What happened to that house?
A storm hit the backyard. The back of the house started kind of going down, and they weren't trying to get it jacked up because in Florida they're below sea level, so you have to get the houses jacked up every now and then. They weren't trying to do it, so I fulfilled my lease, and like a month before my lease was over, I paid that month's rent, and I had
All right, so let's move on to July.
Yeah.
July of 2016. Is that when she moved in?
July the 1st, 2016.
And did you have a lease?
I did have a lease. However, the plumbing was distorted throughout the house.
You're talking about Mr. Benjamin's house?
Mr. Benjamin's house.
Then you don't move in.
Exactly.
Just a second. Then you don't move in.
Mm-hmm.
But you did move in. But you did move in.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. And you lived there with your 4 children in July?
No, ma'am.
Where did you live in July?
In the motel that he provided.
And did you pay rent?
Yes, I paid. Okay.
You paid rent in July.
Okay.
How much?
$17.50. But the situation at the house, the carpet and everything was messed up.
Listen to me.
Okay.
I don't want you to tell me what was wrong with the house.
Okay.
It's a free country.
Mm-hmm.
You don't like the house, you don't move in.
Right.
You don't take the house.
Right.
Let's start. You paid rent in July, and things weren't to your satisfaction. Mr. Benjamin used your rent money to pay for a motel, or he paid for the motel himself?
He paid for the hotel himself. The money that it was paying for it.
Just a second.
We paid for us to live there.
How much did she pay you when she moved in?
$400 for a deposit, $850 for the first month rent.
Okay. And when did she go to a motel with her children?
It was approximately 8 July and checked out 11 July. It was just for that weekend.
Did you pay for that motel?
Yes, I did.
And tell me why she had to go for a motel that weekend.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What appliances did she take?
The stove and the refrigerator.
Now, he had crackheads, neighborhood crackheads working at the house. They took that stove and refrigerator. What I'm gonna do with that? get professional people.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Reginald Benjamin says former tenant Jennifer Shealy owes for rent and stolen appliances.
Now, tell me why she had to go for a motel that weekend.
She called me and told me that the plumbing was bad and it was very, very stink in the house, that she couldn't bear it. So that's why I put her in the motel while I sent a plumber out there to fix the problem. And he did fix the problem that weekend.
What was the problem?
He said it was backed up.
Okay.
Plumbing was backed up.
Okay. So now you have 0-5 you in July.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did you move out of Mr. Benjamin's house, Miss Shealy?
I moved out the day after Thanksgiving when my house was it was a shootout. Oh, okay. You asked me.
I said, when did you move out?
Okay. November 26, 2016.
So you were there August, September, October, and November, 4 months. Did you pay rent in any of those 4 months? August, September, October, and November.
I paid him rent in September. I gave him rent. But that's why I was trying to tell you, the money that I gave him in the beginning, we did the work for the house. So that our work paid for the house. He's trying to, I kept giving him money, and he had the house. My kids were getting sick. It was mildew.
Miss Shealy, I don't.
Yeah.
Listen to me.
You don't care?
No.
Okay.
I want to know, you lived in his house for 4 months.
Right.
What I want to know is, of the 4 months, July, August, September, October, November, 5 months. We've already counted for July.
Okay.
And the rent was $850 a month.
Right.
And you paid for July. For the next 4 months that you lived there, how many times did you give him $850?
I gave him once.
Once?
Yeah.
In what month?
In September for October's rent.
Okay.
Well, because the work that I did paid for August and September. So while he's agreement, like he bringing me to court. I can't. It was something we discussed. Like he got paperwork, so it's whatever.
Okay. What appliances did she take when she moved out?
The stove and the refrigerator.
Do you have receipts for that?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see them.
Them crackheads you had working for you, that's who took your refrigerator and stove.
I didn't hear you?
He had crackheads, neighborhood crackheads working at the house. They took that stove and refrigerator. What I'm gonna do with that? Get professional people.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The whole reason why I moved out is because my house got shot up. My police report is right here.
I don't need to look.
You don't need to? I'm saying this is enough. That's enough said. Them documents right there is my kids' safety. Why would I furthermore endanger them? You crazy.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Reginald Benjamin says former tenant Jennifer Shealy owes for rent and stolen appliances.
Who's Matt?
That must be the guy that works at the Eubanks Appliances.
Must be a crackhead.
How many months' rent does she owe you?
7.
When did she move out?
I got 3 phone calls, the middle toward the end of 3 phone calls from neighbors.
Where did you move when you moved in November? Miss Shealy? Shh. Pay attention. Where did you move to when you moved out, according to you, November 26th?
I moved to an apartment.
Give me the address of the apartment.
1717 Jacksonville, Florida, 32254.
Great.
Yeah.
And who is the management company?
It was another private owner.
Give me the name of the owner that you would call
Ms.
and the
Carter.
phone. Listen. And the phone number. Listen. No, and the phone number of the owner so that I can check to see when you moved in. If you moved in December, great. He says you were still living there in January. Fine. So who is the owner of 1717 that you pay rent to?
It was Miss Carter. I don't know her
Phone
first
number.
name. I don't know her number. I wasn't knowing I was gonna have to provide that for you.
Well, you go get your phone and give me the number of the landlord.
I got my phone, but I don't stay there no
great.
more. It was a 6-month lease that I signed. I can try to look it up. I would like to speak freely while I'm doing 2 things at once. I know how to do that. I have 4 kids.
I'm waiting for you.
Okay.
I just want to know on what date you moved into 1717.
The whole reason why I moved out is because my house got shot. Why the hell would I take my kids back there? Crazy as hell. I'm providing that for you. I'm still looking on. I need you to look at that, though, because I have 4 kids.
I don't need to.
You don't need to? My kids' safety was in question?
No, if you moved out November 26th.
I'm saying this is enough. That's enough said. Them documents right there is my kids' safety. Why would I furthermore endanger them? You crazy.
Just give me the phone number.
I'm not talking to her. I'm talking to him.
Of the landlord where you, of 1717, where you moved in December.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by.
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Just give me the phone number of the landlord of 1717 where you moved in December.
It's a place called Honorable Citizens. I can't pull it up because apparently...
Honorable Citizens, what is that?
It's a company that helps people with bad credit get back on their feet, and it gives them second chances, like a second chance.
I just want the owner of 1717.
I just gave you the name of the realty company. So what more? I mean, I can't provide you with the number. I don't know it. I don't know it. I went there. I didn't call them. What I need to call them for? I'm bringing the money.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $38.30. That's the cost of the appliances and 4 months rent. We're done. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Because she left without paying me the rent and didn't leave a forwarding address.
My mom's sick and my kids, I have 4 small kids, and bullets rang. His house was shot up.
I contacted a lawyer, and even the lawyer couldn't find out where she was. So evidently she was trying to just leave without paying.
Deadly missiles shot into occupied dwelling with minor children.
Yes, there are some bullet holes in it. Yes.
I mean, I tried to make that house a home, and it was destroyed. It was already raggedy and nasty, but I cleaned it up and I made it something it wasn't.
Well, she didn't pay the rent, and she kept making excuses after excuses until I got tired of the excuses and decided to take it to court.
So, I mean, it is what it is. God bless him.
Date night is ruined by her ex's diet.
We had went to a fast food restaurant, and I told him not to eat this stuff because it messes with his stomach.
But you didn't listen.
Of course not. I eat it all the time.
He tells me his stomach hurts, so I ignore him.
I got it.
Now they both have heartburn.
You asked her to leave. She wouldn't leave. You said, I'm going to call the police.
TV off of the man.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Kenneth Starks is suing ex-girlfriend Rochelle Martin for purposely breaking his TV.
Order. All rise. It's case number 241 on the calendar, the matter of Starks versus Martin.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. Starks, this is your former girlfriend, according to your complaint, and you say that she broke your TV on purpose during an argument. Defendant says that actually you pushed her into the TV, and that's how it got broken. So let's first find out when this happened and where.
Where it was my house, approximately, it was in June 2017.
You don't know the exact date?
I don't know the exact date.
Do you know the exact date?
It was June 4th.
And at the time of the incident, were you and the defendant living together, or were you just dating?
No, Judge.
This happened in the evening?
Nighttime.
What time?
10-ish, 11.
Was it the plan for Miss Martin to stay over that night?
Yes.
Was it a weekend or a weekday?
Weekend.
Weekend?
It was a weekend.
Great. She seems to remember it really well. Why don't you tell me what happened first?
Okay. On this night and on the way in, just the vibe just began to turn as a negative once we got in the house, and I was trying to talk to her and play with her a little bit, and she was a lot standoffish, and I just didn't understand why. So once I got to trying to talk to her and everything, she was kind of pushing me away, and the air just was not right. She just wasn't acting. I just didn't understand what was going on, to be honest. So
did you ask her?
I did, but she wasn't even speaking. She was just like...
Did he do something at the bar?
No, actually, everything was fine. We had went to a fast food restaurant, and I told him not to eat this stuff because it messes with his stomach, and he gets it anyway. So I told him, don't come to me when your stomach starts hurting. And we get on in the bar.
Then you went to a bar.
Yeah, we went to the bar after the fast food.
What kind of fast food doesn't agree with him?
Rallies. He loved it, and it don't agree with his stomach.
Okay, so you told him not to eat it, and he didn't listen.
And he did it anyway.
And he did it anyway. Then he went to the bar.
Then we went to the bar, and after we had a couple of drinks, he was getting ready to leave, and that's when he tells me his stomach hurts. So I ignore him, and because I told him not to eat it, so why would you even come to me with...
I got it. I got it. You say stomach hurts, keep it to yourself. I told you not to eat it.
Don't tell me about it. I told you not to eat it. And from there, we get on back to his house. I go and sit on his couch, on his oversized chair. He comes in, he wants to sit on the same chair that I'm sitting on. He has multiple places for him to sit. I told him he can go sit somewhere else. He says, this is my favorite chair. So he sits down anyway. See how big his arms is. He put his arm on me, so I moved it off. From there...
Because you're still annoyed about the food and the fast food.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's where it started. I had no issues at first. We was fine.
Go.
Okay. For one thing, I eat Riley's all the time. That's my favorite. So my stomach, that wasn't the deal.
I know.
So, okay, we passed that.
But you didn't listen.
Right. Of course not. I eat it all the time. But, you know, we came in. Right. She sat on the chair. Like I said, I was trying to make her, you know, feel better, like playing around. That's what I do. So I came over there, wrapped my arms around her and, like, trying to kiss her on the forehead and on the cheek and, you know, playing around. And she was still getting a little piped up. So I didn't understand what was going on. So from there, I stood up. I was asking her to leave. So this is where the problem ended up at.
Okay, so you didn't like her attitude, so you said, listen,
right, I just wanted to break it off for the night.
Right.
So she had an attitude whenever I asked her to leave, even when she had her own place and I was at her place, whenever I wanted to leave. That's like a power control thing that I can't deal with. So when I asked her to leave, she starts to get an attitude. She stands up, because I threatened, after a while, I threatened to call the police on her.
So it wasn't just, I'd like you to leave, and she was annoyed.
No, this was probably about 40 minutes in, and she just kept going and going.
What was she saying?
She was saying she wasn't going to leave. She wanted to talk about it. Every time we talked about it, it came around to the same thing.
To what?
About why you just can't talk about it. But we were past talking about it. We've been talking about it for like an hour and we wasn't getting anywhere.
What were we talking about? The food?
Exactly. I don't know what. I didn't even know nothing about the food. I didn't even know that's why she was tripping out. Like, that's why I didn't tell you that in the beginning, because I didn't even know that's why she was tripping out in the beginning. I didn't know nothing about the food. I didn't know that's why she was upset. Like I told you again, I didn't know why she was upset.
Okay, but you asked her to leave. She wouldn't leave. You said, I'm going to call the police, and? And
she got upset. She stood up and she went to an irate tantrum back because we have on and off relationship. So she never came back. She got up. I can't believe this. She stood up, threw my remote down, broke the remote, slapped my candle warmer down to the ground. It busted into pieces. I said, okay. At this point, I said, I'm about to call the police for real, because you tripping out. You in here breaking my stuff. I'm sitting down, had her phone up to my face, and I'm acting like I'm calling the police, because I don't really want to do that. I'm hoping she's going to, do what you're supposed to do. Let me take you home, Uber, any of that. Whatever you got to do. I just don't like Debbie Downer stuff going on in my apartment. So at this point, I'm talking to the police. I'm acting like, yeah, 534, I'm giving her my address, the whole rundown. She hear me. It's like, you calling the police? I'm like, yeah, because you won't leave. At this point, she jumps up and snatches my TV off of the mantle that I have pictures right here. So when I see her run up, I kind of jump up and I meet her, but she snatches down and I'm catching the TV. But the TV end up hitting my, I have a guard in front of my fireplace. Boom, it hit that and it scraped the wall. So I grab my TV and I kind of catch it before it hits the wall all of the way. And then she runs off. I chase her. She tripped, I grab her up, and I'm physically trying to put her out at this point because I'm upset. And after, she ended up leaving. So I think a couple days later,
How did you get home?
I ended up getting an Uber home that night.
And you have that on your phone? On June 4th? Yes.
Right.
And you would have that call on your cell phone?
Right.
Okay, so you got an Uber at about what time?
At this point, I believe it's about 12:30-ish, somewhere around there.
Have you taken an Uber from his house before?
Yes, I have.
But there was definitely an Uber call on June 4th.
Well, it would have been the 5th.
On June 5th?
Yes.
Did you speak to her the next day?
Yes, we spoke the next day, and she actually came over. You know, we were still trying to work things out after that. So she came over, I guess, 3 days later, and that's when I physically showed her that the TV was broken. She said she would replace it. 2 weeks later go by, nothing going on.
Just a second. In that 2 weeks, did you see Miss Martin?
No, I did not see her. We were just texting and talking.
Do you have any texts that indicate in June that she's going to pay for the TV?
It's not in June. It was later on down the road.
When?
I think these texts have August on them.
Were you dating in June and July?
No. When June we was before the incident.
Before this, but
yes,
afterwards?
Yes. No, afterward it was over.
May I see the texts, please?
Like I was saying, that was later on down the line because she was saying that 2 weeks later she was going to pay for it, then nothing. Another 2 weeks said she was going to pay for it, then nothing.
Well, Miss Martin, first of all, you broke his TV, because that's what this says. And in this, you said you were going to pay for it, but you weren't going to pay for it if you weren't going to be together again. But you also said in this text that you stayed the night that night. You made me stay the night that night, but it was never back the way it was at the beginning. Did you stay the night that night?
Well
is not an answer.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You said to him, so I decided to break the TV. I was done.
I was just trying to fix our relationship. I didn't really break his TV. I was just telling him what he wanted to hear.
And later today,
you abandoned the vehicle and he got rid of it.
How would I abandon it if I went there, visited the truck?
You mean you visited the truck?
Yeah. Of course.
Ms. Beal,
when it
sound
has
ridiculous.
memories.
You sound ridiculous.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Kenneth Stark says ex-girlfriend Rochelle Martin.
Okay, you know, there was a reason I was asking you about this Uber, and I could check it, because there was something that I didn't believe when you said to me, and I turned and I said quickly, how did you get home that night? And the response wasn't an immediate. So after you broke the TV, you stayed the night.
He wouldn't let me leave.
I didn't ask you that. I said, did you stay the night? The answer would be yes. And you told him that you were going to take care of the TV because you said to him, so I decided to break the TV. I was done. I said, you're going to feel some pain this time. You was not going to keep playing with my heart. That's what you said.
I agreed to replace the TV because I was just trying to fix our relationship. I didn't really break his TV. I was just telling him what he wanted to hear.
When did you purchase the TV?
2015. I had a receipt that has all the information on it.
May I see it, please? And the photographs of the broken
yes.
TV? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,380. Thank you.
Thank you. Parties are excused. Step out.
He didn't break his TV.
I eat rallies all the time, brother.
Rallies does bother him. He just love it and don't want to give it up.
We parting ways, but you know, ain't no hard feeling.
That's over with.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Beal versus Prager. Step forward.
Misty Beal is suing Donald Prager for the value of a Chevy truck he was storing for her.
Okay, I'm going to give this the best possible scenario for you, Miss Beal. You inherited a non-working old truck from your father who passed away about 2 years ago. The truck was not working, and in November of 2015, you had the truck towed to the defendant's lot where you wanted to store it. According to you, the defendant told you that the charge for storing the truck on his lot was $50 a month, correct?
Correct.
According to you, you gave him $600.
My
according
son
to
did,
you.
yes.
Well,
With
so
me
you're
present.
telling me that your son personally handed him $600?
Correct, with my presence there.
Did you have it in cash?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you get the $600 in cash from?
My father passed away, and we had sold his home.
So you
we
had it in the
quite a bit
bank.
of
Well, they
cash.
didn't sell you the house, and you get cash for the house. You sold it and put the money in the bank. Assume, just for argument's sake, that you don't have any proof that in November of 2015, on the day that you say that your son handed the defendant $600, that you don't have any proof that you withdrew $600 from a bank.
No, ma'am.
Right. Because the defendant says you didn't give him $600, you gave him what?
Didn't pay me anything, Your Honor. I was not in the state at the time.
Well, who did she see?
An employee of mine named Melissa.
Is that person here?
No, she no longer is employed with us.
Okay. Then you can't tell me how much she gave to the employee, because if she gave $600 to the employee in cash, if she did that.
Yeah, I have receipts for what we were paid.
Do you have any receipt for what you were paid?
No, ma'am.
No. I'd like to see what you have.
These are the bank records for the credit card transaction in the amount of $99.90.
Did you pay him by credit card?
No, ma'am.
No, I can't tell whether this...
There's the bank transaction right there from the bank.
The place wasn't even open when we were there. We never even went into the business.
Okay, let's take the best possible scenario for you. You paid him $600 in November of 2015. The monthly rent was $50 a month. So what you're telling me is that you paid him a whole year to take care of your car. That would bring you to November. To show me proof of what you paid him from November 2016 to February 2017, when you say somebody went there and the truck wasn't there.
Yes, ma'am. The truck is like right around the corner from our home, so we visit the truck every couple of weeks.
I don't care. I don't care.
I have nothing
I
to
don't
prove.
care. You just left it there. And
Yes.
I want to see proof, because now you have no proof of paying anybody $600. And now I want to see proof that you paid November, December, January. Come on, proof.
The only proof I have of having money on us at that moment was he wanted us to pay a year in advance. He said we don't do monthly, which I was fine with. We had the cash, and I also have proof of the towing that we paid there at the same time.
I don't care.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You parked it there November of 2015 and gave him $600. And after that, you gave him no money. And a year and a half later, he disposed of the truck because you hadn't paid anything.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Misty Beal says Donald Prager disposed of a truck he was storing for her. Donald is countersuing for storage costs.
I'm giving you every benefit of the doubt. You paid him $600 a year in advance in cash. That brings you up to November, when you owed him another $600, because he said he only wanted years increments. Well, if you say, well, I may not be here for another year, I'll pay you by the month. So show me where you paid him November, December, January, and February of 2016. Proof.
All I have is phone records, ma'am, where I called and checked on the vehicle to make sure that a lady...
You abandoned the vehicle, and he got rid of it. That's what happened.
How would I have abandoned it if I went there, visited the truck?
You mean you visited the truck?
Yeah. Of course.
Beal,
when it
sound
has
ridiculous.
memories.
You sound ridiculous. You don't go visit the truck on somebody's
remember
property.
my father,
you pay for storage. You pay for storage.
And I have also the phone records showing of the communication
I don't care whether you
incoming and
called,
outgoing.
sent carrier pigeon. It doesn't matter to me at all. What is important is he had a business, according to you, giving you every benefit of the doubt, consistent with your complaint. You said he wanted $600 up front. You parked it there November of 2015 and gave him $600. And a year and a half later, he disposed of the truck because you hadn't paid anything to store it there. After November, you abandoned the truck. Period. It's gone. And he got rid of it. When did you get rid of it?
March of this year, Judge.
March of 2017?
Yes, ma'am.
You mean you held on to that truck for a year and a half when she paid nothing?
That may have something to do with this employee no longer being in our employ.
Okay. So what did you sell it for, sir?
We had 4 or 5 vehicles that a junk guy came by and paid me $500 and hauled all of it off.
Okay, so you don't have an individual for what her truck was?
No.
Okay, and you have a counterclaim, and your counterclaim is for what she owes you to store the truck.
Well, first of all, if I may, Judge, she never paid me $600.
Listen to me. I actually believe you that she didn't.
Okay.
Okay? But I told her at the beginning that I'm giving her every benefit of the doubt that she did, in fact, pay you $600. She still owes you for the remainder of the time that the truck sat there, which was from November of 2016 to now. That's another $600. That's what you owe him.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Judy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay.
Your Honor, I have recording of our visit that me and a friend had went to the establishment to speak to him about the vehicle because I'd made several calls to them. I had spoke to a lady named Mel. I don't know.
Listen to me. I don't care.
And this is incriminating where he lies 3 different times. He tells me he sells it for $500, then he changes his mind, and then he tells me that he knows where it is, and if we give him our November, December payment that is due, that he would go get it and
You
give
mean
it back to
November and
us.
December of last year?
Correct. So he admits...
Listen to me. Why didn't you pay him?
I did have the money when we went in to
Just a
pay him.
second.
I didn't trust him. He already told me 5 or 6 different lies.
You owe him $600 for storage of the vehicle for 1 year. Your case is dismissed. $600 on the counterclaim. We're done.
Step up. Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He lied, period.
We should have disposed of the truck long before we did.
It ran. It was not junk.
It was a fugitive from a junkyard.
I know that he's done other people like this too.
That's just not true.
It was my father's truck left to my kids.
Don't let it go as long as I let it go.